Does it concern me? Hell yes.
Today on the Morning Edition, private texts, public outrage, Senator Lisa Murkowski sounding off after Trump administration messages land in a reporter's inbox.
Plus, Anchorage voters set to decide on an $8 million bond package for parks and rec projects. We break down what you need to know for next week's election and later.
I could tell as soon as you walked in that he was going to be the one catching the baby or delivering the baby.
Well, parents don't have police officers in their birth plan, but sometimes protecting and serving can also sometimes mean comforting and delivering. We'll have that story as the Morning Edition starts now.
Surprise.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, surprise. Cute little baby on that one. Starting off, weather-wise, you're mentioning, Aaron, pretty quiet here for us in South Central.
Yeah, really, the southern mainland continuing to hold on to sunshine and cool conditions, but we are watching some light snow showers that have been building into the interior through the overnight hours into this morning. Now, not everyone's seeing that snow, but we are seeing some of that light snow beginning to spread eastward across the interior. We're waking up to 19 degrees in Fairbanks, and most of that snow has really been falling north and about northeast of Fairbanks. We're at 19 in Nenana, 16 degrees in Delta Junction, 0 degrees in Eagle. You can see that cloud coverage slowly beginning to increase across the interior, and this is where we are expected to see the chance for some light snow showers. Not everyone will see it, but that light snow will remain with us throughout the day for parts of the interior, and that forecast showing that those temperatures also will be a bit cooler today in many areas. Will warm into the upper 20s, and through the rest of the week, we're actually going to begin to tap into even cooler conditions. By Saturday, we could begin to see some parts of the interior where those afternoon highs sitting in the teens. So just some light snow showers staying with us throughout the day. We may see about 1 to 2 inches of that snow accumulation. Notice just to the west, northwest, and north of Fairbanks is where we're holding on to that better potential of that snow that is occurring this morning. And we'll still see that decent opportunity for Fairbanks, although if we do manage to see some of that light snow pushing through the Fairbanks, we are going to see that accumulation amounting to about less than 1 inch for you. Surrounding Fairbanks, we'll see about 1 to 2 inches of that snow accumulation. So that does stay with us throughout the remainder of the day. You can see other locations of the interior also expected to see just some light dusting to accumulate a few light accumulation of some of that snow showers through the remainder of today into the evening hours. Overall, still holding on to a quiet stretch of weather for a large portion of the state. And we'll also see parts of southeast on the warm side. I'll have more on that in that 7-day forecast coming up.
I'm worried about everybody and how they have handled this signal controversy.
Do you think you should?
It's really concerning.
Alaska's delegation is responding as this morning the White House is digging in, defending officials on what group chat, including journalists, and discussing attack plans.
But today calls for an investigation. They are growing on both sides of the aisle. Alice Barr has what's new.
The growing controversy over that sensitive Signal group chat reaching a new stage as the journalist who was inadvertently added alongside top Trump officials released what he says are all of the messages exchanged, including a series from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth detailing timing and weapons in the hours before U.S. airstrikes on Iranian-backed Houthi forces in Yemen were set to begin. From the time of the first fighter jet launch to when the first bombs would drop. The screenshots do not include information on specific targets.
There's no units, no locations, no routes, no flight paths, no sources, no methods, no classified information.
Assertions like that from multiple high-ranking officials that the messages contain nothing classified are why Atlantic editor Jeffrey Goldberg says he chose to release them. President Trump less conclusive on what could be classified.
You'll have to ask the various people involved. I really don't know.
Pointing to the mission's success and distancing himself from the fallout.
Well, I think it's a witch hunt. I wasn't involved.
This open portion of the
For a
hearing.
second day on Capitol Hill, Democrats, this time in the House, grilling CIA Director John Ratcliffe and Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, who were both on the chat.
It is outrageous and it is a leadership failure.
Some Republicans now voicing concerns.
I can't see any rationale for the kind of conversation that took place over Signal for not taking place in a more secure manner than that.
The Republican Senate Armed Services Chair calling for an expedited Inspector General investigation.
I would have wanted it classified.
As Democrats press for firings. A lawsuit is now accusing the officials in that group of violating federal record-keeping laws, pointing to the messages being set to automatically delete. The case was assigned to the same federal judge here in D.C. who recently blocked the White House from using wartime powers to deport Venezuelan migrants, prompting President Trump to call for his impeachment. He railed against the judge on social media overnight. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Alaska's delegation also speaking out on what happened amid that new Republican scrutiny. Senior Senator Lisa Murkowski saying that she wants answers.
I think there needs to be accountability because you cannot have failures as we have seen.
Senator Dan Sullivan saying in part, the president's national security team, all of whom I know well, needs to up their game. This was clearly a mistake that the White House has acknowledged. The director of national intelligence and the Speaker of the House also speaking out.
The conversation was candid and sensitive, but as the President National Security Advisor stated, no classified information was shared.
It's been overblown, I think, by the media. I think this was a mistake. It was acknowledged as such. I'm certain it will not happen again. We move forward.
The administration insists no information in the chat was classified, as you've heard. Meanwhile, the president is pivoting to new automobile tariffs and turning up the heat on trade. Later in the hour, we'll break down how that may cost you and your family.
A turnaround at one of Alaska's most iconic tourist destinations after widespread layoffs. Some federal workers at the Mendenhall Glacier Visitor Center are being called back to work. This comes after almost the entire visitor center crew was laid off last month because of federal cuts. The city and borough of Juneau says it's unsure how many prior employees have accepted their jobs back, meaning they might still have to rely on pulling additional staff from other service areas this summer, bringing new hope ahead of the busy summer season.
I'm incredibly relieved. I'm also, continue to be nervous about the coming summer season, particularly if they're not able to fully staff up. We still don't know what the hours of operation are going to be.
The city and borough also say there are concerns about what limited hours the visitor center could mean for congestion in downtown Juneau and at other tourism attractions. New details about that plane crash on the Kenai Peninsula. These pictures show a pilot and his two girls on the ice on the wing of a Piper PA-12 super cruiser. The Associated Press reports the pilot was not authorized to have passengers. John Morris Jr. was actually a student pilot, according to a U.S. official and federal aviation workers. AP reports Morris has not cooperated with federal investigators about what happened on the flight. He has not returned their calls or reported what happened within the required 24-hour period. The FAA has started disciplinary action against the pilot, according to AP.
Esplanade Landmark is coming down this week, and you may have noticed the wreckage. Crews are demolishing the America's Best Value Inn and Suites, a building that's caught fire twice in the last 3 years. Most recently in February, while 4 people were inside. Residents living next door, they say their own building started to catch fire too, but they haven't been told to leave and continue to live there. Demo crews expect to finish the job by tomorrow. The municipality officially deemed the building unfit for human occupancy. But so far, the Office of Code Enforcement has not responded to our request for comment.
Less than a week before Election Day, Anchorage's election administrator has resigned.
If you are returning it by mail, either on the Monday before Election Day, so the 31st, or on Election Day itself.
That was William Northrup, who we interviewed earlier this week. He resigned 1 day after the municipal election officially got underway. There's no word on the reason for Northrup's resignation, but we're told that he respectfully resigned from his position. The Anchorage municipal clerk will be taking over the election team for the April 1st election. In that upcoming municipal election, there are several different propositions on the ballot for voters to decide on.
This morning, Joe Allgood breaks down Proposition 3 and how it might impact Anchorage.
Cuddy Park here in Midtown Anchorage could be the site of some significant change if voters approve Proposition 3, which is on the ballot for this year's election. If approved, Prop 3 would authorize more than $8 million in bonds. The money raised from those 20-year bonds would be put towards projects and improvements to Anchorage parks and trails. There are 17 different capital projects listed, which include the construction of a chalet in Midtown's Cuddy Park, one of the more expensive at about $500,000, and the connection of the Fish Creek Trail to the Coastal Trail, which is listed as costing about $1.3 million. The largest of the projects would be development in Town Square Park, aimed at beautification and increasing public safety, for almost $3 million of the $8 million in bonds. There are 15 propositions total, including 9 bonds on Anchorage voters' ballots this year. And while Prop 3 isn't as high a cost as the other 14, it is the largest parks-related bond proposition in recent years.
There are a number of bonds that are on the ballot. The school district has its annual bond on the ballot, as does the Parks and Rec Department, which is a substantial bond this year. It's a bit of an increase with a real meaningful project for Town Square Park, which is sorely in need of a transformation.
Prop 3 isn't the only park-related item on this year's ballot, as Prop 9 would also help support funding for public access improvements around the Basher Trailhead into Chugach State Park. Joe Allgood, Alaska's news source.
And vote centers, they are open weekdays from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday from noon to 4 p.m. and on Election Day from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Only Chugach Eagle River ballots will be at the Eagle River site.
Up next on the Morning Edition, the votes are in and the ice never stood a chance. 2 artists from Orlando just carved their way to triple gold in Fairbanks. See the stunning sculptures that won them world titles.
And 61 years ago today, Alaska was rocked by the most powerful earthquake in North American history. The devastation, the lessons learned, and the impact still felt and seen today.
Quieter conditions continue across south central. Snow through the interior. I'll have more on that, what to expect as the week draws to a close. But first at sunrise, 7:36 in Anchorage, 6:38 in Juneau. Your full forecast is next.
If you call yourself a lifelong Alaskan, then you probably know that today marks 61 years since the 1964 Great Alaska Earthquake.
Yeah, it was the most powerful quake ever recorded in North America. The 9.2 magnitude earthquake had struck on March 27, 1964, shaking the state for nearly 5 minutes and triggering a devastating tsunami.
Decades later, the impact still lingers, shaping how Alaska prepares for future disasters. As we remember this historic event, experts continue to study its lessons to keep Alaskans safe. Always a good reminder to just stay prepared for the unexpected.
Yeah, Aaron, 61 years today. Wow.
Wow, hard to believe that. And of course, we continue to monitor Spur as well, which if you looked out towards Spur yesterday, you may have noticed some of that steam coming from the volcano. Of course, still seeing that advisory status. Temperatures across the state certainly continuing to remain fairly mild across a large portion of Alaska. 40 degrees in Juneau, 45 in Ketchikan. We've got some light snow showers pushing through parts of the interior, 12 below out towards Dead Horse, areas out west. Still seeing those chilly mornings, but temperatures continue to moderate, and then we're holding on to fairly quiet conditions out towards the Aleutians. Now, what we're going to begin to see here over the next couple of days, really nothing significant. We do have that light snow showers through parts of the interior that will drop south into the weekend, which could lead some light some light additional snow for parts of the Copper River Basin as well as Prince William Sound. And of course, we have a ridge of high pressure out towards the Aleutians, which is leading to quieter weather for areas out west through the Bering as well as the western Aleutians. And then we're also seeing some of those strong gap winds through the eastern Aleutians and parts of the Alaska Peninsula. While that ridge remains with us, as well as that quieter weather, areas of the Aleutians through the Bering could see some haze in the sky, and that comes from some dust that's being transported from Mongolia as well as China that will lead to some of those hazy conditions for areas of the Bering Sea as well as out towards the Aleutians. But we are seeing quieter conditions across a large portion of the state. We'll hold on to that light snowfall potential for the interior through the remainder of the day. Not everyone will see it, but that chance for some snow accumulation does stay with us throughout the remainder of your Thursday. Biggest concern will be those roadways with some melting of that snow and then refreezing as temperatures drop here through the rest of this week. And then what we're going to be watching, while areas out west are seeing temperatures moderate and some sunshine has been in the forecast, we will be watching the potential for snow to make a return to parts of the western coast as we welcome in this weekend. So that's really the only issues we'll be watching here over the next next couple of days across a large portion of the state. Springtime warmth and quieter weather taking hold for many areas. We'll make it to 42 degrees here in Anchorage, potentially even warmer, particularly as you head across East Anchorage and into the valley. Our record high is 50. Set back in 2019. So we've got cooler conditions set to make a return to the interior here over the next couple of days. There's that slow moderation of temperatures as you head out west, where we've been seeing those afternoon highs sitting well below average for this time of year. We're actually going to see temperatures warm their way back into the upper teens and lower 20s as the weekend arrives. But for the interior, be prepared for a stretch of some cooler weather that will be heading your way. You can see temperatures dropping back into the low to mid 20s into the weekend. We dry out Saturday and Sunday, and then watching more snow as we welcome in next week with temperatures warming back near freezing. So just a cool snap heading your way the next couple of days here across South Central. Those temperatures easily breaking into the 40s. Sunshine and pleasant conditions. We'll see some breezy conditions at times. Overall, though, a nice day to get outdoors, soak up that sunny weather. Those temperatures in the valley expected to warm into the mid 40s, maybe even some upper 40s possible later today. So we'll see 42 in Anchorage today. Those temperatures expected to warm daily right around a 40-degree mark. And of course, like we've been talking about, we could see a few isolated areas across South Central touching 50. We're talking about even warming into the mid to upper 50s for parts of Southeast. I'll let you know who will see that coming up in the next few minutes.
All right. Thanks, Aaron.
Well, we have a new 24/7 Alaska Weather Channel. It has the latest forecast, live radar, the current conditions, and live weather cameras from around Alaska. Find it on our website and free streaming platforms. Look for the live tab and click on 24/7 Alaska Weather. It's an exciting new development in the state.
And as spring breakup season approaches, the risk of flooding and ice jams is always a concern across Alaska. But after a warm winter, some parts of the state, including western, southwest, and south central Alaska, are seeing lower flood potential, all thanks to below average snowpack. Still, areas like Quinnahock could face a higher risk. That's where a refrozen ice jam could cause problems once temps start to climb. The interior and North Slope are expecting a more active breakup this year. Well, wildfire season has officially started in Anchorage.
Here's how you can keep your home safe and do it for free. Disposing of wood debris can reduce the threat of wildfires. Solid Waste Services has expanded operations at wood sites in Eagle River and Anchorage. The Eagle River site opens on Saturday. The one seen here in Anchorage opens in May. The wood here came from the winter windstorms, many of it being spruce. John Glover with the Anchorage Fire Department calls the tree a common wildfire fuel.
The needles, the branches on these trees when they're alive go all the way down to the ground, so they create their own ladder fuels, and that's a challenging fuel for us as firefighters to be able to suppress. They also are the same trees that get infected with the bark beetle and then die, right? And that creates its own hazard as well.
The lots will accept brush and branches as well as trees under 6 feet. To learn more about the program, visit our website.
2 Filipino Americans from Florida are now world champions in ice sculpting.
The professional ice carvers won gold medals in all 3 adult categories. The event attracts the best ice carvers from across the world to compete in Fairbanks. Ross and Victor call Orlando home, a city that doesn't see much ice or snow.
But that certainly didn't stop the pair from spending weeks creating these beautiful sculptures in the cold weather. Both of them celebrated their achievement with the Filipino community in Fairbanks.
So you're not only representing ourselves right now, and then you're representing the whole community. So which is a good feeling for to see all those community that support us. It's truly spirit of the Filipino that if you're Filipino, you're still there and support everybody.
And the duo is already making plans to come back to Fairbanks for next year's competition.
You've been listening to the Alaska's News Source podcast. Subscribe to have the latest episodes delivered to your library automatically.